something in my mind. Yeah. That's like a full house up there. Great. Good.
Is it Shelby water? Oh, come on.
It's pretty close to Hidden Springs. It's Prairie Township. Yes. Hidden Springs, all of the big forest area. No, it's contained within that. One of my guys is the one that spearheaded it. All right.
It'll be all right.
Description of where it was at, that was no big deal.
I know that the existing box will have told the condition is being undermined, so it's actually eating out underneath the road, so it's kind of getting to be an unsafe. We do
Maybe it's not on a major road.
it's not a major road.
It's on one of the north-south.
It is a north-south road. For sure it is north-south. And then it's around, I think, on the
Hi,
east side.
Tina. How are you doing? Good. Can you get through okay? What is your name? Chrissy. Great. So Ruthie was my grandma that worked over the sheriff's department. Okay. So, I don't know. Just there when she lived there, so everyone in there was
So you use in retirement.
probably.
That's a teacher should be better.
I don't know. Sometimes I think they should take Prevagen.
That's actually that's the actual road that it's on, but it's about 7.5 miles north of the county. That's actually
Okay, so it's not on, it's not, it's on 25 inch road.
Only on the weekends.
When we were there, it's between 700 and 800.
yes.
All right. Buying any cattle?
Not as many. A little short. Numbers are a little short right now. Price is high. Crazy high.
Crazy.
Yeah. They destroyed I don't know how many millions of them.
I just haven't seen him around.
You know, I was telling some guys the other day, they were talking about, they said, well, they're blaming Biden and blaming Trump. And they had to do is bird flu.
Birds got sick.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with any one of them.
I haven't had it. I forgot to look and see if I have those reports. I told you that before I leave. Yeah.
Kind of lost track of himself.
Hey, Jean,
Tell you what,
have you been notified or asked about the benefit?
no, 22nd,
I haven't.
is that one for Kate? Is that who it is?
I'm talking about the one from Holler.
Paula?
I haven't. Nobody said anything to me.
All right, that's next Saturday.
The week from Saturday.
Yeah. No one said nothing to me. Me? No, I'm talking about her either.
All right, good evening. We're going to go ahead and call the February 13, 2025, Shelby County Board meeting to order. We have to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, first of all, I want to thank you for all the wonderful lessons that you have given all of us. Please help us to make wise decisions tonight for this county, and please let us all get home safe. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Teresa Bay.
Present.
Tim Brown.
Here.
Carol Cole. Here. Julie Edwards. Chrissy Grant.
Here.
Jeff Gregg.
Here.
Clay Hardy.
Here.
Heath McCormick. Christy Matlock. Here. Tad Mayhaw.
Here.
Tricia Miller.
Here.
Tim Morse.
Here.
Gene Price.
Here.
Austin Pritchard.
Here.
Sonny Ross.
Here.
Larry Seifert.
Here.
Don Tate.
Here.
Christy Wofford.
Here.
Brett Wallace.
Here.
Judy Wood.
Here.
Chad Yannis.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 3, discuss and vote to approve the minutes from January 9th. Have a motion. Ms. Miller, second. Ms. Matlock, any discussion on the minutes from January 9th? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. If it's okay, due to a sporting event, an important sporting event, I'm going to interchange items 4 or 5 here and let Ms. DeBolt go ahead and give us her office update so she can head on out to, I believe, a state championship basketball game.
Good evening, everyone. I hit the ground running, and Shelby County took back over the coroner's office on January 12th with the first call after my appointment, and I've had a busy month in the office. Our office has handled 15 death calls as of this morning. I have completed my FOIA and OMA training, as well as the Illinois sexual harassment training. I have moved all the files from the courthouse into my office, and there has been a lot of organization to catch up on. I've also caught up on a backlog of chain of custody papers and sent them back to the McLean County Coroner's Office. To ensure continuity in our department, I have brought back 3 of Brad's deputy coroners: Deputy Coroner Travis Boyer, Deputy Coroner Travis Beard, and Deputy Coroner Paige Seitz-Ledley. I have also brought on 3 additional deputy coroners: Cliff Miller, who has 20 years experience as a firefighter paramedic, as well as City Police Chief Chad Brackbill and City Police Sergeant Paul Bennett. Cliff Miller and myself will be going to coroner training March 10th through the 14th. And finally, I would like to thank everyone that has helped me with this transition. Thank you to Fayette County Coroner David Harris for helping when needed. Lynn Reed, Moultrie County Coroner, for all of his help in the transition and answering all of my questions. He has been a wealth of information and knowledge. Thank you to Jack and Neil Yaki, Aaron Haas, Sheriff Brian McReynolds, and all of the county deputies and dispatchers. And also thank you to Treasurer Fern Haber's office, as well as the County Clerk Jessica Fox and her whole office.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good luck this evening.
Thank you.
You. Okay, we'll go back now to public body comment. Public body comment. Public body comment.
Yeah. You know, lately I've been thinking back on a few of the comments that were made concerning the Shelby County farm. Like the one where the guy compared the sale of his farm to an old truck the county no longer needed. Well, not really like a truck, I'd say. I mean, trucks depreciate, but farm ground starts out high and just keeps on going up in price. Through the roof would be more accurate. It's kind of hard to imagine how in the late 1800s, our government gave ground away to people in the Homestead Act. 160 million acres, most of this is west of the Mississippi, fueled the westward expansion where people brought their hopes, their dreams, their hard work and determination, and their commerce. But nowadays, we don't seem to worry too much about bringing people to Illinois. Sadly, we can't seem to keep them from leaving. Although they do tell us many times when they go why they leave. They say it's high taxes and lack of economic opportunity. Oh well, Maybe you might remember a board member sitting in that chair there that said, the county is greedy. Well, I don't know about that, but I do know, however, that the state is sterile. Did you know that the state is sterile? Yeah, the state doesn't have any kids. You can check it out for yourself. That's why they want yours. That's why they teach kids critical race theory, the LGBT program, and their social engineering agenda. Yeah, I know this is an extreme example, but it does happen, and it goes to show how the government will cross any boundary belonging to the private sector they can and make you think it's for the greater good. I've asked 3 lawyers if it's lawful for a government entity, state or county, to buy farm ground for the purpose of making money. I don't know why, but I've never gotten an answer to that. I think it's a fair question. If it's legal, then why are all the counties in Illinois, several counties farming in Illinois? If it is legal, then what's going to stop some politician from Springfield, from coming up with a brilliant plan of easing the tax burden on the Illinois taxpayers by farming? Impossible, you say? Isn't the state raking in dollars from marijuana and gambling now? Who's to say when they might go on to a more reputable means of collecting funds in the future? Answer that one for me. One phrase that has become fairly popular lately are the words Shelby County First. Shelby County First, it's a great campaign slogan, I suppose, but really that's not the way we feel, is it? I mean, if it is, then we shouldn't be too surprised that there's some people just west of us who think that Christian County should be first. And there's some people over here on the east of us that probably think that Coles County should be first. And just how does that mesh with the idea of America first or united we stand? So someone said to me, I don't think you really wanted to sell the farm. Well, you know what? She was right. I didn't. I thought about the fact that the idea of selling the farm was not popular at all, and the farm had been an institution of the county since before I was born, and how it brings in usable resources for the county. Also, the farm gave some a sense of comfort, and really, does anybody want the county to lose assets? No, I don't. The hard part about being a board member is that they make you swear to uphold the Constitution. So, therefore, it doesn't matter if I don't like what I'm voting for. In fact, I may be personally opposed to what I'm voting for. It doesn't matter. I have an obligation to the Constitution. Immortalized, standing just in front of our courthouse, is our 16th president. He is one of our more celebrated presidents. Why is he so revered? He pushed an agenda that was not popular at all. He challenged an institution that was well established long before he was born. This institution brought in usable resources for some people, and abolition meant that some were going to lose assets. Then, as we all know, he paid a very high price for his efforts. For all those negatives, why would he have done such a thing? Well, I think that Lincoln did it because he believed that all men were created equal, endowed by the Creator with the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And those endowments can never be fully realized on someone else's plantation.
Thank you. Public body comment. Public body comment. Public body comment. Thank you. On to item 6, Scott McKee from the Zoning Administration. Discuss and vote to approve an amendment to the zoning ordinance providing for automatic moratoriums for wind and solar facilities. Have a motion on item 6, please. Mr. Price, second. Ms. Matlock. Mr. McKee, all you.
I'm going to stand over here in case I have a cough fit, and I apologize. I'm still getting over the flu. So the zoning board asked this to be prepared, and I'm going to go ahead and read it and discuss it exactly. But Article 2, subsection 16G, procedures, shall have an 11th paragraph that states, if Illinois Public Act 102-1123, or the Illinois State Statutes 55, ILCS 5/5, 12020, paragraph G, are deemed invalid by any appellate court, an automatic moratorium for wind energy facilities shall be enacted for Shelby County until A, an appeal to the Illinois Supreme Court regarding Public Act 102-1123 or the Illinois State Statutes 55 ILCS 5/5-12020 paragraph G has been successful, and B, the Shelby County Board removes the moratorium by a majority vote. If Illinois Public Act 102-1123 or the Illinois State Statutes 55 ILCS 5/5-12020 paragraph G are deemed invalid by the Illinois Supreme Court or removed, the County Board of Shelby County shall have the authority to reject applications for wind energy facilities. And it goes on to state for the same exact wording, but with solar energy facilities for Article 2, subsection 16.5, G procedures. I believe that the idea behind this for the zoning board was to give as much protection to Shelby County as possible. Because these commercial energy facilities can have a broad impact on the population, the zoning board determined that these self-executing moratoriums could provide an opportunity for the county to execute its right to provide for the general welfare of its people. This right by the county is spelled out in the zoning section of the county's code, but these energy facilities have been exempt by the state statute that required the zoning board and Shelby County Board to grant special use permits so long as the applying facilities comply with the conditions created by Public Act 102-1123. These amendments do not institute a moratorium at this moment, but provide that if significant challenges to the law are made, or the law is removed for any reason, that self-executing moratoriums will be placed until the county board removes them by a majority vote. It also clarifies that if the law is found invalid or removed, the county board has the authority to reject applications for special use permits for these commercial energy facilities, but does not require them to do so. Now, I have sent a copy of this resolution to all of you, and in that resolution it does state the specific state statute, G, a request for siting approval or special use permit for a commercial wind energy facility or commercial solar energy facility, or modification of an approved siting or special use permit shall be approved if the request is in compliance with the standards and conditions imposed in this act. Now, with that being said, again, this really depends on what you guys want to do with this. All right, the zoning board has brought this forward to try and protect Shelby County from a potential overuse from these facilities. I know that there are thousands of acres of land that have already been leased up for these facilities. If you pass this resolution, you are opening the door to potential lawsuit. Simply because the next section of that clause reads, I want to read it verbatim so we aren't confused. Under the state statute number H, a county may not adopt zoning regulations that disallow permanently or temporarily commercial wind energy facilities or commercial solar energy facilities from being developed. So, if your interest is to side with the zoning board, know that going forward, if these moratoriums go up on the chance that they do, and we end up stopping one of these facilities from being built, they will have the right to take us to court over that. Okay. So, my job is to represent the zoning board here in the resolution that they passed, so it's up to you guys on how you want to vote.
Can you provide any insight as to why the recommendation was made? So if it would expose us to a lawsuit, I guess, could you help clarify? Because I know this topic, if I had phone calls on it, I can't say that I fully understand myself.
Okay. So, it does not expose us to a lawsuit until the moratorium is met. I think the idea behind it was, if these challenges go forward, and if they are passed, they win, then there is possibly no issue for us. because again, if it's taken out of state law, then we would be okay. But that's as good of an explanation as I can give you. The idea is not necessarily to prevent these individual landowners from leasing any of this property or from these energy facilities to be built. I think the idea is to give us some measure of protection from an overabundance of these facilities. Because the state statute is completely ties the Shelby County's hands, more or less. It doesn't give you the opportunity to say no. You have the authority over every other zoning law pretty much, except for solar or wind energy facilities. So your hands are tied, the zoning board's hands are tied, and it's up to the individual landowner to basically say yes or no. And I think the idea behind this was to try and give the Shelby County Board some measure of opportunity to say no without putting us in the hot seat.
Questions?
Does anyone know what our county regulations are for setbacks and properties?
I can grab my book and we can go over. Are you asking for wind or solar? So an installation for a wind energy conversion system may not be nearer than 1.1 times the maximum blade tip height of the wind tower to the center point of any dedicated roadway or public right-of-way. 2.1 times the blade tip height from any non-participating residences. May not be nearer than 1.1 times the maximum blade tip height to any participating residences. 2.1 times the maximum blade tip height on the outside of any occupied community building. 1.1 times the maximum blade tip height to any railroad right-of-way or overhead communication lines or electrical transmission or distribution lines. 1.1 again to any commercial underground pipeline supporting the facility. 1.5 miles from any unincorporated municipality. 1.1, the minimum setback distance between the wind tower should not be less than 1.1 times the maximum blade tip height of the tower. Those are the setbacks.
A couple questions. So of those numbers that you just read, are those state numbers or are those our numbers for setbacks?
Yes.
Both?
So when I got into office, the first thing that I tackled was making us compliant with the state's Public Act.
Okay.
So they match what the state says.
Okay. So currently, and I think probably Ruth could speak more to this. Currently, my understanding is the state tells us what we can and cannot do. And they're saying you do let people do what they want. And I think the solution that you have from zoning allows us to more control what's happening. We can't do it currently because there is no argument on it, correct? Is there a current argument? But it will give us the ability, if someone starts arguing about, hey, we want to retain our rights as a county or however we want to do it, it gives us the right to dictate policy for ourselves and when we want to allow or not allow. But my question when you talk about liability is there also liability if we don't do this, or sorry, if we pass this and people want to fight it and say, oh, you can't do that, we're going to sue you. Don't we also have another problem if we allow them to start and say, whoa, this is being fought out with the state. We're going to stop you. Do we not then gain the ability to stop something that's in process and say, no, you can't do that anymore. The state, there was a big thing with the Supreme Court, and they said, you guys can decide, and we could also say, you're done as of today.
So I would imagine that the moratorium would be for any new facilities.
Okay.
So any facilities that have been issued that special use permit up to that point would be fine.
So
It
they'd be
would
grandfathered in.
Yeah, any new
Okay.
facilities.
All right.
So I'm trying to understand this. So if voting yes for this would say we would put a stop to any solar or wind farming, any
No.
facilities.
No.
Voting no. is-
Voting yes for this would potentially do that if there was a challenge to the state statute at the appellate or judicial level. That's the only time that we would put a moratorium on. Otherwise, there is no.
So if we vote no for this, then that means, I was just trying to understand all of it.
Sure, so voting no changes nothing. Voting yes sets an automatic moratorium if this law is challenged at the appellate or Supreme Court level.
Which means it stops it.
As so long as that's being challenged, then yes,
Okay.
But then that opens us up to a lawsuit?
potentially. Because again, that second clause I read, H, says that we're essentially not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to put a ban on these wind or solar commercial energy facilities, either permanently or temporarily.
So what does this really do for us then? I mean,
I don't have an answer for that question.
I guess in layman's terms, the state says that we have to let that happen, right?
Yes. Under the state statute, there is nothing Shelby County government can do to discourage solar or wind farms. As long as that energy facility is complying with the public act that set this forward, then neither the Zoning Board of Appeals nor Shelby County has the authority to say no to issuing a special use permit for those facilities.
And we still approve all permits that still come through here, correct?
Correct. For special use, yes. For special use permits, the Zoning Board makes a recommendation, and then you act upon that recommendation.
I have a question. Is the problem because you're getting more requests for permits? I mean, what's the problem we're trying to solve right now that this became an issue?
I think the problem that they were interested in solving was the inability for Shelby County to do anything. I think that was the intent. Teresa, did you have?
Yeah. On the zoning board, was there any attorneys involved in this, this part?
No. I have included the state's attorney with this, but she's the only attorney that's been involved.
Okay, then I've got a second question. Ruth, do you have a recommendation for us?
you don't want to answer that.
Well,
I don't want to make a recommendation, but I will say this. I have reviewed the law, I've reviewed the resolution. I think what he has said very clearly, maybe not clearly to everyone, because it's not clear, but describes the situation as best he can. Basically, the law right now says Shelby County cannot decline any applications, right? That's what the law says. The resolution says that if for some reason that law is challenged at the state level, at the Supreme Court level, at the appellate court level, then this would automatically basically serve as almost an injunction, right? So even if it opens us up for liability at that time, because it automatically goes into place, alternatively, the steps that the county might take at that time, if this isn't in place, would be to legally seek an injunction, right? Because you're going to not want to be able to enforce a law that's being questioned throughout the court system. I know that did not help at all. I honestly don't have a recommendation one way or the other. I think that I understand why the zoning board has put this forward. They feel like their hands are tied. This is not going to, I think one thing you did overstate was I don't think this is going to have an effect on how many applications you get or how many wind farms or solar farms come through the county. I don't think that's going to be the case. This would only go into effect if for some reason this law which says Shelby County cannot refuse an application as long as they comply. All it does is say that's not going to be the case if it's being challenged in court. So it's a preventative measure, but at the same time, there would still be other options. For example, seeking an injunction at the time.
So if we would vote no, then they would, the courts would say.
Right now, I don't know of any challenges to this law today.
But we could do an injunction at that point.
If somebody were to challenge the law in the future, there are other options for Shelby County.
What are other counties doing with respect to this? What have they done?
Many counties have just simply refused to comply with the state statute altogether or have not updated their ordinance. Others have tried to comply. Others have tried to do both, and there have been lawsuits for that.
And how have those come out? You know, are they still in the process?
The one that I'm aware of is Woodford County, and they lost that lawsuit. The Zoning Board of Appeals approved it, and then the county board declined it, and they received a lawsuit.
Are the requirements we're using, those state requirements, we have to remember that those requirements are very specific. I feel.
Yes.
They're very specific.
The height, there's all sorts of things addressed. Power lines, underground. Different places in our state have more problems than others. I mean, I don't want to get us into a situation we have to argue out of, but if a TRO, I feel like if a TRO was something that would take care of the problem and cause us less issue, then maybe that's something we should think about. I'm just curious. I mean, we don't need to invite trouble, but it's also so very restrictive. You just can't go out and plug one in the field. It can't be near this, near that, the other. So that kind of makes it a little more difficult to do this in some areas.
Yeah, there are quite a few specifics on the state level. It wasn't like they just rubber stamped it, but they did at least put some standards in there to try and protect people and their land. Mr. Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spoke with Mr. McKee today a couple of times. I think the ask here is I appreciate the ask. I would like to pass this. If we pass this, then we don't have to come back to establish a moratorium. It's established through this process. So that if, which I don't know of any, can't find anybody that knows of any illegal challenges to 55 ILCS 1220. But if one arises, and it is successful, and there is a moratorium, or we get power back, and that's one of the things that frustrates me about this statute, is that it strips the county of all power and authority to decide what's best for its citizens. So that's the purpose of this, and I like that. However, having read further and see item H, I think instead of being as specific as it is in reference to just paragraph G, maybe we table this at the board level, send this back, allow for some adjustments to be made by the board of reviews. I'm saying that wrong, zoning board, and make this more broad. I highly doubt, and I know Ms. Woolery is far more intelligent on this than I am, but I highly doubt that anybody's going to simply challenge one paragraph. They're going to challenge more of it, and I would hate for them to challenge another portion that would give us power back, and we're not able to do that because we specified paragraph G. So I would make a motion that we table this to send it back, have a little bit of a revamp. I think give everybody more time to maybe reach out to Mr. McKee or attend a meeting and get as educated as we can on this. I haven't talked to anybody in the county that wants wind or solar, so my vote is going to be anti-wind and solar, just because that's the position that my constituents have said. But I would officially make a motion to table item 6, and I would ask for a second.
I have a motion to table. Do I have a second? I have a second from Ms. Grant. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you for your time.
All right. On to item Item 7, Michael Tappendorf, County Highway Engineer Report. With a discussion and vote to approve the following items. Item A, 50/50 petition from Prairie Township Highway Commissioner to replace the box culvert with 242-inch diameter by 40-foot long CMP of an estimated cost of $14,728. Item B, 50/50 petition from Oakland Township Highway Commissioner to replace the CMP with 254-inch by 40-foot long CMP with an estimated cost of $17,917. Item C, supplemental engineering agreement with Lockmuir Group Incorporated for design services for SN 087-3234 on County Route 400 North. The requested amount is $20,500 for additional scope of survey and geotechnical subcontracts, engineering agreement previously approved in August of 2024. With that, can I have a motion for item 7, please? Mr. Wallace, second. Mr. Morse, any discussion? Anyone want to explain?
Items A and B are 50/50 petitions. They do have their existing pipes that are just not in a great condition underneath the road. We're just looking to replace those. And looking to share the cost with the townships. Item C is a more of a formality to try and get the state to pay for some of the engineering services for the design of a bridge in Dry Point Township. So we're just trying to get the state to pay the $20,500. And so therefore I have to do a supplemental engineering agreement. So that is what these are about. Anybody has any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Dappendorf? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Teresa Babe,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Chrissy Grant,
Yes.
Jeff Gregg, Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Christine Matlock,
Yes.
Tad Mayhall,
Yes.
Tricia Miller,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Gene Price,
Yes.
Austin Pritchard,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Larry Seifert,
Yes.
Don Tate,
Yes.
Kristen Wofford,
Yes.
Brent Wallace,
Yes.
Judy Wood,
Yes.
Chad Yams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. On to item 8, discussion and vote to rescind the unexecuted portions of resolutions 2024, or resolution 2024-34. Have a motion on this, please. Ms. Cole, have a second. Mr. Morris? Any discussion? So specifically, the items will be paragraphs 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Any questions or discussion on this? This is the resolution that was designed to sell the county farm. Okay. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item 8 passes. Thank you. On to item 9, discuss and vote to approve the farm, the Shelby County Farm for 2025 through 2027. Have a motion, please. Ms. Cole, have a second. Mr. Morse. Everybody had a chance to take a look at the farm lease. Just a couple of small grammaticals to include, just a couple of small changes that'll be made to that, but the lease is set up for a 3-year lease period. So, any questions, any comments on this? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, may I address the state's attorney, please? I'm not trying to put you on the spot at all. I'm really not. It's not a trick question. Really asking for just clarity. Looking at Public Act 103-0415, the right to sell the farm, it states, or the ability, it states that in subsection B, upon 3/4 vote by the full county board. There's been controversy over what the full county board number is. Currently, we have 1 vacancy. So does that make us 21 or 22 members? And then it's 3/4, 16 or 17. That's my question, just for clarity.
Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Teresa Bay?
A yes vote is to farm, or to lease the grant, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Tim Brown?
Yes.
Carol Cole?
Yes.
Julie Edwards?
Yes.
Chrissy Grant?
Yes.
Jeff Gregg?
Yes.
Clay Hardy?
Yes.
Christine Matlock?
Yes.
Tad Mayhall?
Yes.
Tricia Miller?
Yes.
Tim Morse?
Yes.
Gene Price?
Yes.
Austin Pritchard?
Yes.
Sonny Ross?
Yes.
Larry Seifert?
Yes.
Don Tate?
Yes.
Christy Wofford?
Yes.
Brett Wallace?
Yes.
Judy Wood?
Yes.
Chad Yanis?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, everyone.
Ms. Ross, I will still get you an answer to your question.
I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so move on to item 10, discussion and vote to open the sealed bids for farming in the county farm. I have a motion. Ms. Cole, and a second. Mr. Morse. All right, all those in favor of opening the sealed bids, say aye. Aye. Okay.
Yeah, one second.
If I'm not mistaken, this says they should be put out for public view, correct? With that part of this discussion.
What?
Okay, looks like we have 4 bids inside. Maybe.
Hey, Pat, just to clarify, are we obligated to take, what's the rules and regulations on who gets?
Yeah, so when we get to then item 11, once we've all had a chance to review these, then we'll vote which one, if any, to accept, because the way that the announcement was written, we didn't have to accept any.
Okay, appreciate it.
Okay, the first one is from Michael Williams. The bid in the sum of $202 per tillable acre, which at 197 acres at 202 would be $39,794. So, and all of these will be set up here for public viewing per statute. It's supposed to be up here for the public to view as well. So, the second bid comes in from Mr. Stu Fox. I bid the sum of $255 per tillable acre for a total of $50,235. The next bid is from Oral Eversole. I bid the sum of $290 per tillable acre for a total of $57,130. And bid number 4 is from Tice Robinson. I bid the sum of $260 per tillable acre for a total of $51,220. So, again, these are open to anybody from the public that would like to come take a look. Anybody want me to pass these around? Anybody want to come take a look? questions here on this? Does anybody need those amounts again? It was 260 an acre, so 51, 220.
What about Michael Williams?
Yes, that was 202 an acre, 39, 794. All right, then. Yes, ma'am.
I'm assuming that everybody read the lease agreement or the bid process and know that the tenant, his bid also includes, they pay the taxes on the farm. So the county would not be paying the taxes.
It also includes mowing, correct?
And they mow the cemetery, the waterways, yes.
Okay. I guess the best way is to just do these individually. And then go with the.
Or would we make a motion to accept one of the bids?
Okay, so we'll move on to number 11, then, if I understand, so you're making a motion to accept Mr. Eversole's bid of $290 per acre. Is that correct? Okay.
I agree. I somewhat agree with that, but Stu Fox did farm this ground for free. I know this is for 2 years, and in 2 years we can go back and whatever, but, and I do understand, you know, the high bid usually gets it, but I just feel like Stu doing what he did for the county, the amount of money the county made last year or this year, however you want to put it, the difference in the bids isn't going to make up what he donated more or
Sure.
less.
Yeah, so just to make sure we stick with the proper protocol, I do have a motion.
Okay.
So is there a second on Mr. Eversole's
I'll second.
second?
Mr. Chairman, the actual motion was to accept the highest bid, which was going to lead me to a question. Is there any language in there that indicates any other offerings or anything that on its face there's an amount that's larger than another amount, but are there any other, so it's just...
It's all in terms of the contract.
So his motion then to accept the highest bid would in fact default to $290 an acre?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Evans, can you make your second?
I'll second. And can I just, are we discussing now?
Yes, please.
Brent, I 100% agree with you, and I believe every person in this room and in this county is grateful for Stu and what they did. However, I'm concerned if we don't do what's going to, it would be sort of a kickback, you know, like, hey, he did this for us, so we're going to do this for him. And I really think that that would be something we need to consider before we... I mean, we have to look at what's best for the taxpayers, what's best for the county. And again, no disrespect to the Fox family, to Stu, to anybody, because I greatly appreciate what they did. But we also have to kind of...
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want any, any bad...
I mean, to me, it isn't a kickback.
I get it, I understand.
I mean, I can see where some people might say it's a kickback, but...
That's just, I'm just putting it out there, something for people to consider.
Would it be advisable, I agree with what you and her are saying, would it be advisable to go ahead and let Ruth take a look at the bids and make sure those two are I dotted T cross just in case? But we did have standard, so just to make sure there's not something missing that we could say it wasn't complete.
appear to be in order. Yeah.
I get some new windows.
And the wording did say, we have the right to reject any windows.
Yep.
Any other discussion on this item?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
kind of the name and that, and also we're actually voting on.
Yeah, so the name again is Orville Eversole. And just want the amount again, please. It was $290 per acre for a total of $57,150.
Thank you, sir.
I believe Mr. Ersel farms the farm across the road south. That's how he farms.
Any other discussion? Okay. Even though we're not spending, there is money involved, so we'll take a roll call vote.
Teresa Bay,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
No.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Chrissy Grant,
Yes.
Jeff Gregg,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yeah.
Christine Matlock,
Yes.
Tad Mayhaw,
Yes.
Tricia Miller,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Gene Price,
Yes.
Austin Pritchard,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Larry Seifert,
Yes.
Don Tate,
Yes.
Christy Wofford,
Yes.
Brett Wallace,
No.
Judy Wood,
Yes.
Chad Ganis.
Yes.
Motion carries 18 ayes, 2 nays, Brown and Wallace.
Thank you. Move on to item 12. Discuss and vote on establishing and publishing the Program Compliance Oversight Monitor, also known as PCOM rule. Have a motion on this item, please. Ms. Matlock, have a second. Ms. Bain. This item's been discussed in 2 different committee meetings, legislative as well as public safety. And so I'll definitely entertain any questions or comments regarding this topic. And I believe our subject matter expert is also in-house if there's any questions for her as well. So anybody have any questions or discussion on this? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor of item 12 say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, item 12 passes. Thank you. Moving on to item 13, discuss and vote on human resource policy. I have a motion on Ms. Matlock. I have a second. Mr. Pritchard, any questions or discussion on item 13?
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I read that and I thought it was very thorough.
Well, you can thank Ms. Graham for that.
Uh,
I mean, there was very little editing to do with this one, so she did a
I
big job.
was impressed when I read it.
Yeah, so she definitely was significant in making sure that this got done, so thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, item 13 passes. Thank you. On item 14, discussion vote to approve County Clerk Jessica Fox as the IMRF authorized agent for Shelby County. I have a motion on this. Ms. Miller and Mr. Pritchard for a second. Any discussion? With the payroll responsibility shifting, makes sense, but the state does require us to appoint an agent. So, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Item 14 passes. On item 15, discussion vote to approve MyTech contract through November of 2025. I have a motion on this, please. Mr. Ross, a second. Ms. Wood. Any discussion or questions?
What's the figure for this?
I don't have it in front of me.
5,500 a month.
Is that what it is right now? Is that-
No, it was 5,000, but he had planned on upping it $500 a month with the new contract. So he did give us the 5,000 for the extension, but then this will go to 55.
Okay.
Why is it just through November? I mean, usually.
So we extended the contract back in December. The contract should have been probably done earlier than that. With the board changeover, we didn't have a whole lot of time to review things. And so he granted us an extension to get us to this point. So this will take him through the end of the fiscal year. Fiscal.
I tried to bring it up and I couldn't, but on one of the pages it says Board Chairman Orman and Vice Chairman Bennett on my text.
That's because if you read that, he's saying that he made previous people aware of situations. So, yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Teresa Bay,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Chrissy Grant,
Yes.
Jeff Gray,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Chrissy Matlock,
Yes.
Tad Mayhall,
Yes.
Tricia Miller,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Gene Price,
Yes.
Austin Pritchard,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Larry Seifert,
Yeah.
Don Tate,
Yes.
Christy Wofford,
Yes.
Brent Wallace,
Yes.
Judy Wood,
Yes.
Chad Dennis.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to item 16, committee reports. Do you have anything to report on the committees? No? All right.
Oh, I do have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have one little thing. At the airport meeting the other night, they said that 3 out of the 6 doors have been made now, and they will probably be installed the end of March, so they will get their 6 new doors on the March, so I think that's awesome.
Good deal. Thank you for that. Any other committee reports? Okay, moving on to item 17, chairman appointments. I've got Penny Stanford, a 4-year term to the Mental Health 708 Board, and a Reed to a 4-year appointment to the Mental Health 708 Board. Betsy Stillbauer for a 4-year appointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals. I have Tricia Miller to the CEFS Board, and I have Ron Cheney to the West Central Development Council. Can I have a motion on these, please? Ms. Matlock, second. Ms. Cole, any discussion or questions on these? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item 18, chairman updates and correspondence. I had a video conference with the State Department that deals with broadband and fiber 2 days ago. They sent me a lot of resources, and so I'll be going through that, hopefully maybe with some folks who have a little bit more knowledge on these topics than I do, as far as expanding broadband services to the county. There's a lot of grant money available to us, I believe $900,000 per year that has been left on the table for a little bit. And so I'm going to work with them as well as other providers to see what they can do to access that money to help get better access to internet to more of our rural communities soon. So anybody that has an interest in helping me with that project, by all means, come let me know. I haven't had a chance to read it all through yet. And I'll be honest with you, some of it's over my head, but I think there's a really good opportunity to improve our infrastructure through this grant money that's available. So by all means, I'll take any help that anybody's willing to give. The sheriff and I had a video conference today with the contractors as it relates to the courthouse and the repairs, and we narrowed down today the initial throws of what the scope of work is going to be. And so with one of the biggest priorities being the courthouse taking on water, especially in the basement and the lower levels through the walls, is they're going to conduct a study and do water testing to figure out exactly where the water's getting in, how they can abate the water from making it into the building, and then try to get that to go further away. So I know we talked about the stucco, especially on the east side. There was a very simple test done one day on the roof with a bottle of water poured, and the water disappeared and never made it down to its intended area. So they're going to try and figure out where the water's going, try to get that away from the building, and then try to figure out what restorative processes need to take place to make sure the structure's maintained in the integrity of the facility, and then get it dried up at the same time. In addition to that, at the same time, it's no secret when you walk into the courthouse, there's a little bit of a scent at times. And so they are going to also conduct some indoor air quality testing to figure out what they need to do as far as any mold or other abatement that's here in the building. So I know we had a request from some of the offices when we were going through the window project, and they're going to make that a priority as well to make sure that we don't have any mold issues here in the building. So those items will start to take place in March, so they're going to start working with contractors immediately to get this underway and figure out what steps will be next. So the sheriff will be running point on all this, but they will keep us in regular updates on their progress. So is there anything that I missed, Sheriff?
I think he's covered.
Okay, great, thank you. And finally, payroll has been moved to the clerk's office, I will say successfully. I believe if I was asked to give it a grade, I was told a C+ on the first go around. So, but I do want to thank Ms. Fox and her staff, especially Liz, for what they put in to do this. So, you know, we voted to approve the outsourcing of payroll for the office. And as soon as the bids came back to do so, Ms. Fox just really wasn't comfortable with the county having to put out the amount of expense that it was going to take. I believe a few years ago the number was $20,000. That is not the case now. It was well over $60,000. And it well could actually go over 70, depending on any of the features and hang-ons we want to put onto the process that they would have offered to help us with that. And so, rather than punt and cost the county additional resources, her staff stepped up and took this, and they performed their first payroll this week. And so, you know, in cooperation with the treasurer's office, they were able to have a successful payroll as far as they are planning to get paid, right?
Yes.
And there will be some additional training for her office in early March. But I do want to say again, thank you for doing this. It was a big savings. I know it's a big lift, a heavy lift, but you guys took a very short time frame item and you made it work. So thank you for that. And if you have the chance to speak with Ms. Fox or her staff, please make sure you thank them, because significant amount of savings and an awful lot of effort that's drawn into that. So moving on then to item 20, the old business. Yes.
Do we have an update on the audit that has never been completed?
Good question. So I know that the circuit clerk reached out to me the other day. Apparently he is in receipt of his audit. As far as the county audit and the AFR, I do not have any updates on that. I do know that the representatives from SICH have been in contact with Bedford Brown, and they are in communication to make sure that gets tidied up soon. And they are, SICH is in the process of beginning the pre-op work for 23.
Will they be coming here to?
They do plan to make site visits, something like this. Any other old business? All right, we want item 21, approval of claims. I have a motion to pay the bills. Ms. Matlock, a second. Mr. Yantis. And I believe I've already got one adjustment to make here. So I got a couple of bills that were in the pile, and we reviewed the other day, but they were pulled for questions, and Ms. Bain got answers to the questions. And so I want to make an amendment to add 2 claims for to CEFS to be paid both in the amount of $68,661.42 each. Have a second. Ms. Bain, have a second. Okay, any questions? Anything you want to add to these?
No, I had a conversation with CEFS, with representative, and then I had a conversation with the new gal in Jessica's office, Melissa? is that-
Melissa.
Yes, and they need to be paid, so they need to be added to the other bills.
Okay,
Okay?
all right. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, back to the original motion, paying bills. Anything to add to those? No? Okay. Roll call, please.
Bain,
Yes?
Brown,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Edwards,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Hardy,
Yes.
Matlock,
Yes.
Mayhawk,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Forrest,
Yes.
Price,
Yes.
Pritchard,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Seifert,
Yes.
Tate,
Yes.
Wofford, yes. Wallace,
Yes.
Wood,
Yes.
Yanis.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 22, public body comment.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make sure we are all on the same page. I did look into Mr. Ross's question, and under Robert's rules, it is the entire board. So even if you have a vacant seat, if the statute requires a 3/4 vote or a supermajority of any kind, it's up to all the seats. So in this case, it would be 18. But I'm saying as opposed to 17 or 16, was that what the question was?
Oh, 16 or 17.
Yes. It's of all the seats.
Thank you.
Yep.
You probably should write that down, so I know it's coming before.
It tends to keep coming up, so I just wanted to get it out while we're all here.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, public body comment? Yes, sir?
I just wanted to thank Brent for what he said about Stu Fox. I really appreciate that. Stu's done this twice, donated time and labor for both himself, his equipment, his people, to help the community when the board couldn't decide whether or not they were going to farm. And so I appreciate you saying that, Brent. I also appreciate what Ms. Edwards said about optics. But I think it sort of speaks to a culture of suspicion that was created around here for a while. That's not a dig at Julie. I don't mean that. It's just thinking about the way it looks. And anytime you guys make decisions up there, you have to think about those things. So I wish Stu would have gotten it for those very reasons. I know everyone in the community really appreciates what Stu has done. Knows that he's a stand-up individual. Knows that he showed up for his community when other folks wouldn't. So I just appreciate you saying that, Brent. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank all of you guys. This room's totally different. It's a good place to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Public body comment? Yes, ma'am?
About the windmills, Jake, you gotta help me out here, because he comes to the meetings with me uptown sometimes. And there is land that they have in Middlesworth already for 70 windmills. And the guy that did the speech there said that the state does own it. You know, the state tells us what to do. But I was wanted to talk to that guy before he left, but there is land already, correct, Jake? Can you hear me, Jake?
No, but you're correct.
Yeah, because he had a fit about it at one of the meetings. So,
Yep.
But it was explained to us that it's right behind us. But there's some kind of permission they have to get from Windsor. So I'm glad you tabled it. I'm really glad because you guys need time to really look up on that stuff. You know, just so it's right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, but they do have land that they're holding. It's owned by the cemetery.
Yes, sir?
Whenever they get around to talk about doing a wind farm or a solar farm, do they ever do an environmental impact study on what it's going to do to the grounds and stuff like that before a special permit is ever issued?
I honestly have to defer. I don't know. Mr. McKee certainly would be the right resource for that. I'm not sure, but I have an answer to that.
And the answer would be in that statute that Mr. McKee was citing, right? So there are very specific rules and things that they have to follow. But essentially, if they do, you know, the county can't say yes or no one way or the other. But I don't know if that's one of those requirements.
Public body comment? Public body comment? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I spoke last month, public body comment at the end, and just wanted to make sure that we took care of our employees, and wanted to thank Jessica and you guys for all the hard work.
But when I got done speaking, Mr. Hardy, you took the floor, and you were visibly upset. You were visibly using profanity. You numerous times told us that we were going to be sued. The chairman specifically asked you on what grounds and what statute. Excuse me? So anyway, you, as the chairman, you asked for the statute and the grounds that we were going to be sued on. Did not hear a response, still have not heard a response. And as far as I know, the state's attorney had not been approached about a lawsuit regarding our handling of the coroner appointment. And I think it's just, in my opinion, poor judgment to bring it to the elected officials in this room and threaten us that we are going to be sued without knowing by who and on what grounds we're going to be sued. So it was bothersome to me, and it's really not the way, I want this body to conduct itself.
Thank you. You can.
Yeah. I was told that by a coroner, a neighboring coroner, who was, what I'm trying to say, Mr. Mooney he was helping Mr. Mooney, told me we could be sued, and he acted very serious about it, and that's all I know. He knows a lot more about, he's an official man, and I thought, okay, well, that's what he told me. That's where I got it. And I just thought I'd mention it because I thought he was serious. Apparently he was bluffing, I believe, but possibly not. I haven't heard any more about it. But he's definitely a supporter of Mr. Moon, and that's what he told me.
Okay. Thank you. Public body comment? Public body comment? Public body comment. Seeing none, take a motion to adjourn. Mr. Ross, Mr. Matlock, all those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Stay warm.
Good job, Pat.
I had to go for an hour.
Huh?
I know, because I